Hello, impact makers. This is Amelia Harshfield. I help those driven, difference-making entrepreneurs become more resilient so they can make a bigger impact. And this looks like helping them deal with stress and anxiety, knowing how to handle that so it's not impacting them going forward. And they're lighter, they can think clearly, and they're more their authentic selves. They're more their brilliant, stronger self. And this video today is for INFJs, and INFJs can have a big struggle when they're trying to make sense of something that doesn't make sense. And this isn't really, this might be confusing to hear because you're like, that sentence might not make sense, but I can give you an example. So if someone walks away from your team, or if a business partner comes to you and is just like, I'm done with the business, that can be really challenging to understand when there's no facts to make sense of something. And what's happening often is INFJ's 10-year-old inner child is the inward-facing thinking. And that part is great at making the world able to be understandable. So it loves knowing why things are going on. It loves to know why people are doing certain things, and that can make it feel really safe. But like if someone randomly passes away, that might be really challenging because that doesn't make sense. They're freak accidents sometimes. Like I said, if a business partner all of a sudden decides to quit and won't really say, or what they're saying isn't adding up, that can also be really challenging. And like this inward facing thinking part of you can be like, this doesn't make sense. And it can be like trying to like rationally make things understandable. Like it can be racking in its mind over and over and over and over again, like going over things and trying to understand and like put the pieces of the puzzle together so it can see things in a way that is understandable to it. And when it doesn't understand things, it can have a hard time. So something that can help that 10-year-old inner child of yours when things in business just aren't lining up, it often has to do with people. It often has to do maybe with emotions. That doesn't make sense to that 10-year-old inner child. And I get it because I've seen myself do this lots. But that 10-year-old just sometimes needs to know, like, hey, it's okay that things don't make sense right now. You can't make sense of this. There's no way, the business partner all of a sudden deciding to be done will ever make sense, or the team member just going out without any reason why, or like the supplier that you trust not being just messing up and the relationship has gone downhill, and then you're at the receiving end of it. So these things can be really frustrating for that inward facing thinking, because it's like, so if you see yourself trying to like rationalize it, like thinking these thoughts of like, this isn't making sense, that's because it might not ever make sense. And sometimes it's just nice to affirm that part of you, like, hey, this doesn't make sense. It's okay for this to not make sense. Like, let's go do something else that you can understand. Like go play a game, go like play, like do a puzzle, go like play, like I play backgammon on my computer. It's like, let's go play backgammon. So let's do something that can work for this thinking process, rather than just try to make sense of something that doesn't make sense. So I hope that's helpful, that inward facing thinking can get really stuck in situations like this. So if you find this part struggling, or if you find this side of you, like really not understanding what's going on, keep talking to this part of you like that, because it needs that reassurance from you that it's okay that this doesn't make sense. It's okay. So it might need to hear that many times. And then you might even hear after what I've said, you naturally relax, naturally calm down. You're like, oh, it's okay. This doesn't have to make sense. And we can go focus on stuff that does make sense, building the business that we want, building the life that we want, building the impact that we want. You know, it can be an all win-win-win, especially when you get your thinking process to focus on what it can make sense of rather than what it can't make sense of. So I hope that was helpful. This can be really hard on that thinking process. So just really baby this, give yourself some time. And I hope that, like I said, this video is helpful. If you want some extra help with that process, getting that process on board, the easiest way to get out of this state where you're like running to get information in ways that there's not always going to be information is one-on-one work, because I can figure out what's going on with you. Why is your thinking process being overreactive, and then how to get you to pare this part down. And the cool thing is, once you understand like how to get this part to trust you more, it'll trust you like this for the rest of your life, because it's like, no, she's got it, as long as you're doing the right, doing the behavior that I teach you. So this isn't like a one-time baby fix. It's like for the rest of your life, you can get this going. So if you're really over yourself trying to make sense of things that are impossible to make sense of, like I said, send me a DM. We can get you calmer, feeling more like yourself, and not being so reactive to these situations, and, you know, putting you down a hole that might not be the best use of your time and energy. So DM me on social media. Links are in the bio, and I will see you on the next video.